Hi, this is James Scott with Board on the Bayou. In this episode, I'm reviewing the board game Teotihuacan, designed by Daniele Ticini. 1 to 4 players, 90 to 120 minutes, ages 14 and up, published by Board and Dice Games. This is a fantastic rondel type worker game. If you're unfamiliar with it, rondels are basically a circle or square type where your guys would be moving around, keep making laps around it, taking actions at the locations they stop at. And when I say big, let me show you this board here. I know I got it in the back, but this board here is a lot of real estate. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a beautiful board. This is probably some of the best artwork you will see around. The detail, I mean, every time you play the game, you're this little extra little art here all over. You'll notice something different every time. These guys over here doing something in the water. These guys with the feathers, and it's great. But really, when it comes down to it, it's 8 locations around the board, which you'll be moving your workers, trying to build this temple up in the middle, decorating the temple, building houses, trying to go up the track of, your different ones. You'll be trying to go up those tracks of the temples, trying to go up the track of the Avenue of the Dead. Game is played over 3 eclipses. Each eclipse, depending on the amount of players, plays about 10 or 11 rounds, roughly. Now, there's different things that can kind of move the track up ahead, which I'll explain here in a little bit. When you move your workers around the board, you're going to be on locations. They also provide these real nice cardboard ones where you can shuffle these up and change out the locations to a different location if it gets to the point where you're tired of doing the same board setup every time. When you go to a location, you're going to have up to 3 different choices really to do on a location. Well, first, before you even do that, you have a choice. You can unlock all your dice, which I'll explain in a little bit. But if not, or pay to have them unlocked. What I mean by that is when you go to a location, you can either gain coca, work the location, or worship at the location if it has a worship site. What you're going to do is if you want to gain coca, you will gain coca equal to the amount of different colored dice that are on the location. So if there's 3 different colored dice here, plus 1, you would gain that much. So you get 3 plus 1, you get 4 coca. Now, if you want to work this location and do this action over here, you pay the amount of different colored die that are on that location. What you're also going to want to do is have more of your dice here and higher level die. I'll explain in a second. The third option is the worship. And if you worship, you put your dice here and it locks it. If there's a dice already here, you can pay 1 coca to knock him off and put him in here and you lock your dice, which he'll actually probably will thank you for. Once you're on this location, whenever you put your dice here, you can either worship, which will move you up on the track. You've seen there's a green, a red, and a blue one. Or you can grab the little item that's down here. Is either an item or a one-use little card. There's a lot of mass. This is like a set collection thing. Or you can pay 1 coca and do both actions, which generally I recommend almost every time do both. 3 of the locations are pretty much the same: the stone, the gold, and the wood. Don't let the gold fool you. In most games, gold's a lot more valuable. In this game, coca is king. You look at this location, and it'll tell you 1 dice if you had 2 dice at this location, or if you have 3 dice. So it's nice to actually have a couple of your dice kind of pile up here. If you have 2 dice, let's say you had a 3 and a 5, you would put the 2 dice here, and you look at the one with the lowest number, and you come down the chart, and you would gain 2 stone. That's so simple. Then you see this little symbol. That means you gain a pip. You can rotate one of your die. You make your 3 or 4 or your 5 or your 6. Remember earlier I had said turns may go a little faster. And this is where it does. If you turn any of your dice into a 6, they ascend. When they ascend, you turn them to a 1, you put them back at the palace, and then you got a choice of a couple of different actions. You can gain victory points, you can gain coca, you can go up one of the tracks, you can go up one of the tracks twice if you pay, or you can even unlock one of your other dice, and he comes in as a 3. Definitely a great one to have, so now you got 4 dice running around. Some of the other things you can do is build houses, and you put houses on, and when you, like say if you had 2 workers, it's going to cost you 2 wood. You got 2 workers, you put one of the houses from the board onto here, and you get 5 victory points. And so here you go up the Avenue of the Dead. At the end of the phases, you're going to get victory points based on how far you up on the Avenue of the Dead. But as more houses get built, that avenue is worth less and less points. So the more you build here, the less points you're going to get over here. So it's kind of a little balance game. But what's nice is you're actually taking points away from the other players, because you're going up that track, even though it might lose points, but they're staying still in the same location, and now their locations are worth less points. Other things you can do is you can build on the temple, and you use these beautiful wooden squares to build this temple and this pyramid. And as you build it up, you're going to try to line these to get most victory points. And some of these have a color on it. You'll match up and move up the track. A really neat little idea. Other thing you can do is you will move up. You will also decorate the said temple or pyramid. These unfortunately don't rotate. These have a little chevron here. Will tell you it has to face in. So you try to figure out which location this would be the best to put it in to get the most victory points and to go up on the temple tracks. The temple tracks are really important. A lot of points on that. A lot of nice little bonuses you can get out of that. Let's go to, let's see, another one of the boards is technologies. This one don't have them on here. If you use this one, or you can also do it on the printed one, you randomly pick different technologies, you put them on there, and when you go to that location, you can pick one of those technologies, and you will get to do those actions. You put your little token on there, and now you have your action available to you. Some of them are like every time you are on location number 8 or use action number 8, you gain a victory point. Or every time you use action number 8, you go up on one of the temples. Or anytime you use locations number 3, 5, and 7, the wood, gold, and stone one, you actually gain an extra resource. So that's pretty much most of the locations. As for the components, probably there is a lot of great components, but there's a few of them I felt they fell a little short on. The dice, personally, these are just your average, El Cheapo 6-sided dice. Hopefully they'll come out with some type of premium dice. It'd be really nice if they had like some artwork on it or whatever. Seeing how they are really workers, are not actually dice. You don't actually roll them, and you're going to be rotating them. It would be nice to see like a worker, maybe with a symbol, and then as he gets bigger or something, or more decorated as level 2 and as he levels up. The rest of the components are pretty simple. The gold are little wooden blocks, which are great. The wood, stone and wood little blocks. The other spot I feel they kind of faltered on was the coca beans. These are little tokens. You got your 1 and your 5s. It's money in this game, so I guess it's just like you would do for the normal money. Personally, this would probably be the first thing I upgrade, is to get me some little 3D printed beans or something to represent it. The comes with a bunch of little baggies. There's no insert in here. The board is fantastic. The other locations are great. Cardboard is real good quality cardboard. Little tokens are your average wood and painted tokens. So other than that, otherwise, the rule book, really well done, written rule book. But I will say, if you do get this game or plan on getting this game, go on the BGG forums, go in there, and there are a few player aids. I really highly recommend getting these player aids. They will help you out, especially if you're trying to teach the game. They take all the locations, and they make, a couple of guys have done them where they put it on a little sheet. I laminated mine, and that way you can see what each location is, what each action does. The other part, a thing of the game is solo play. This was designed according to the box by Mr. David. I will say, this guy is a genius. This is probably one of the funner, more unpredictable single player engines. But before I say that, while I'm thinking of it, is the dice. One of the other little mechanics I forgot to mention on is the dice for the other players is kind of neat. Is you actually have ghost players in this game. If you are only 22 players, you actually do take the dice from the other player that would normally be playing, and they have these little things you draw from, and you will put them around the board. So the dice will clog up, cost locations that cost more or gain more coca. So even on 2 players, 3 players, it plays pretty much the same as if you had 4 players, because those workers just don't move around as much. Every turn you're going to relocate them, but I'm sorry, every eclipse you're going to relocate them. But other than that, it is nice to see that they thought about, at a lower player count, not having those other dice out there. They decided to put them out there at this randomness so that it will help out. Back to the single player. He has these little tokens that you form in this little pyramid, and you will roll. You'll have 2 dice. After you set it up, you'll have 2 dice left over, and you roll the dice. And depending on what dice it is, it'll show you where on the little chart which one of these to do. And this will tell you, you take board action number 8, you do this in board action. It's great. It's a simple, great little idea. And they even tells you, and these little things will tell you now, when you replace the tile, you slide this one up and you replace it. This one here, and then you flip it over. Now this one replaces this one. You flip it and put it down. So you're constantly moving it up, and when you're rolling the dice, the game is taking random actions, and there's a little chart. It takes a little bit getting used to, but there's a little chart that says if he can take the action, do this and that. But I cannot stress enough, for a single player, this is one of the tougher, well-designed ones. It doesn't feel the same game every time I play it. Every time I play it, it's definitely a different game. The way I call it a computer, because it's almost like a simple computer. The way the game plays itself, and I really enjoy it. So, like I said, if you're a solo player, I try it. I need the different ones that do it. It is a fun one to do. I do recommend trying it solo a few times. So that is Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan. Takes me a while to get that one. This is James Scott with Board on the Bayou. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe below. Thank you.